everyone likes to make assumptions about my life. It's great.
Y'all, it just got messy because leaked audio has dropped. Yes, dropped like a bomb, and it's not just some casual whisper. It's Rachel Zegler allegedly caught yelling at the Snow White staff during filming. Yep, the same Snow White remake already drowning in backlash. This audio just poured gasoline on the fire. Let's rewind for a sec. When Disney announced they were rebooting the 1937 classic, fans were hopeful. A $200 million 0 cents budget? People expected a magical tribute to the timeless fairy tale, but what they got? A radical, jarring overhaul that looked nothing like the Snow White we all knew and loved.
Just listen to what she said. She just ran angry. Go for it.
At first, there was disappointment. Then came the outrage. The original's charm and romance vanished. In its place, edgy messaging and major creative liberties that left fans clutching their pearls. And then boom comes the audio of Rachel allegedly berating the crew, not sternly, not calmly, no, yelling. From day one, this production was cursed with controversy. Disney's own CEO's son dragged Rachel online and then deleted it after going viral. People started asking, why mess with Snow White in the first place? It was a gentle story with sweetness and simplicity, but instead of honoring that, Rachel's interviews made it clear this was going to be her version, her Snow White, modernized, overhauled, and borderline unrecognizable. She even questioned the existence of the dwarfs and downplayed the classic romance. Some praised her boldness, but others? They felt like she was hijacking a classic.
All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
Well, who the hell are you to say all of Andrew's scenes could get cut? Like, who are you?
And then the trailers dropped, and fans lost it. The visual tone? Dark. The plot? Unclear. And Snow White? She looked more like a warrior than a princess. The backlash was instant. The sweetness that defined the original? Gone. Replaced by what critics slammed as woke messaging, trying too hard to prove a point.
Rachel Zegler. This woman is extraordinarily woke, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged.
And Rachel? Instead of calming the storm, she stirred it more. In multiple interviews, she trashed the 1937 version, calling it weird, outdated, and something that needed fixing. Girl, what? You're playing the lead in a remake and you're calling the original bizarre? It came off smug. And then Bill Maher, yes, the Bill Maher, jumped into the conversation with his classic snark, calling the whole thing a tone-deaf disaster.
I think it's fair to say that no one on the right side of America can stand the star of this movie.
He roasted the remake for stripping away everything people loved, said it felt like a sermon, not a story. But before his jokes could even settle, wham, the leaked audio dropped.
There was an in-depth piece, like a behind-the-scenes piece, talking about how they've been in a full meltdown about this girl for a couple of years now.
Rumors swirled like a hurricane. The audio, allegedly recorded on set, caught Rachel unleashing on the crew. Some insiders claimed it happened during a chaotic shoot day. Others said it was deeper, like Rachel had beef with how the film was being made. Whatever the case, the tape was messy, heated, and it sounded real.
About Rachel Zegler, she's the young woman that was cast as Snow White. It has proven to be Disney's worst investment ever in the history of Disney investments.
There was no official confirmation, but that didn't stop the internet. Reddit threads exploded, TikToks popped up with breakdowns, Twitter was on fire. Did Rachel hate the script? Was she sick of being questioned? Or some even asked, was the clip fake? A smear tactic?
Here's what I told Bob. I said, I'm curious, Bob, don't you think messages like this is why Disney keeps having box office flops?
But let's be real, the damage was already done. The narrative was now that Rachel had turned the set into a hostile zone. Early whispers said tension was brewing during filming. The creative team didn't even know what direction to go in. Trying to modernize a classic without destroying it? Good luck.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time.
Remember the dwarfs? First they were cut, then replaced with magical beings, then partially brought back after backlash. That flip-flop alone caused chaos behind the scenes. Real-life dwarf actors even blasted the studio for erasing opportunities, and all that pressure, some believe it led to Rachel's alleged blow-up.
We have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story just because, like, we cast a guy in the movie. Right. Andrew Burnap, great dude.
Let's not forget, Rachel is already a polarizing figure online. She didn't just post opinions, she clapped back, hard. She went after critics, she slammed traditional fans. She didn't just defend her choices, she fought. So when this audio leaked, it just added to the narrative that Rachel was not your average Hollywood sweetheart.
It's really not about the love story at all, which is really, really wonderful. And whether or not she finds love along the way is anybody's guess until 2024.
If the tape's real, then we heard the same fire in her voice. Not passion, aggression. Not leadership, impatience. The woman who talked about fixing Snow White now sounded like she was scolding those trying to make it happen.
All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby. But it's one of those things.
So true,
it's
yeah.
an inner journey that she goes on to find her true self.
And Bill Maher? Oh, he had a field day. He joked about the irony how someone pushing kindness and empowerment could be yelling at staff behind closed doors. His sarcasm cut deep.
You said you were bringing a modern edge to it on stage. What do you mean by that?
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
Not going to be saved by the prince.
Social media, of course, devoured it. Commenters didn't hold back. We knew she was fake, some said. Others posted memes comparing Rachel's Snow White to a dictator. And to make it worse, rumors of tension between Rachel and her co-stars surfaced. Apparently, they only spoke when cameras rolled.
not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
This wasn't just standard Hollywood drama. This was an unraveling. The prince was sidelined, the dwarfs got changed, and now the lead actress was allegedly blowing up on staff.
And so it's just a really incredible story for, I think, young people everywhere to see themselves in.
Snow White is running for president.
I'm launching my campaign.
It felt like the whole production was falling apart. Even the positive PR efforts couldn't stop the gossip. Bill Maher's jokes became viral monologues, and fans, they tuned out. They said, you want inclusivity? Start with respect.
She said death threats. I don't know which dwarf gave you death threats, but she's saying she's getting death threats.
Rachel, who always branded herself as a progressive voice, was now being accused of being a hypocrite. Her empowering message? Overshadowed by the drama. Some fans vowed to boycott the film. Others said they just didn't feel safe taking their kids to see it anymore. Want to know the real kicker? The movie bombed. Box office numbers were embarrassing. The Disney brand alone couldn't save it. Parents said the movie didn't even feel like a fairy tale. And for those already fed up with Rachel's earlier remarks, the leaked audio was the final straw. Reports said Disney's marketing team went into full panic. They didn't know how to spin the story anymore. Was Rachel a misunderstood heroine or a diva melting down on a $200 million 0-cent set?
Obviously, she's very attractive, very cute, but her views, her eliteness, her like, I know what's right and you don't, and now you want to apologize, bro. This is how the world works when you get on social media.
Then came the denials. Studio insiders claim the clip was taken out of context, or maybe even fake. But that's the thing. Once a scandal drops, no denial can unhear what fans think they heard. Bill Maher kept the flames burning, with skits reenacting Rachel's meltdown, mimicking her scolding the crew for trying to keep the classic elements alive. It was savage, it was viral. And it summed up the mess perfectly. A film that claimed to be empowering, but felt divided, fake, and bitter behind the scenes.
If I'm Bob Iger, you know what we're doing? Emergency meeting. We're putting Snow White on hold for 2 years, and guess what?
Smart.
Pay her a couple $1,000,000, go away. We're going to bring another person to play this role.
Critics tore the movie apart. They said it was an identity crisis wrapped in glitter. Beloved songs like Someday My Prince Will Come, scrapped, replaced with awkward modern anthems that clashed with the fairy tale setting. And rumors? They said Rachel hated the new musical direction. Oh, instead of addressing it calmly, insiders say she snapped, leading to that now infamous leaked audio. Rachel tried to fix the damage with carefully written statements about equality and evolution, but nowhere did she mention the screaming clip. Fans noticed. Her sweet tone online didn't match what they believed they heard in that recording. Something felt off.
There was an in-depth piece, like a behind-the-scenes piece, talking about how they've been in a full meltdown about this girl for a couple of years now.
Even if the clip was fake, the vibe matched everything people suspected. A $200 million 0-cent disaster, packed with ego, tension, and chaos. It wasn't just the movie that felt lost. Disney's whole identity seemed to be spiraling. A company known for family magic now looked like it didn't even understand its own audience. And the audio became the symbol of a studio fighting itself. Some insiders even warned this flop could change Disney's entire approach to remakes. They might slow things down or stop altogether. until they figure out how to update stories without ruining the magic. Then came the toxicity talk. Was Rachel's outburst a one-off bad day or a deeper problem? Some who heard the tape called her belligerent. Others said she just snapped from stress. But how do you preach empowerment while allegedly yelling at the people building your film? And of course, Bill Maher couldn't resist. He roasted everyone. Rachel, the crew, the studio, called the whole project the fairest meltdown of them all. Social media ran with it. Meme pages exploded. Meanwhile, the box office tanked. Fans hated the lifeless dwarfs. The romance was gutted. The film felt more like a TED Talk than a fairy tale. The magic, gone. Even Rachel's later interviews couldn't clean it up. She tried to claim her comments were misunderstood, but it was too late. Fans had made up their minds. She wasn't Snow White. She was the one who trashed the fairy tale, then allegedly screamed at those trying to save it. Industry blogs said the crew was burnt out. Constant rewrites, no clear direction, tension everywhere. That meltdown, probably not the only one. As losses mounted, whispers of studio layoffs and shakeups began. Rachel tried to pivot, suddenly praising the 1937 classic she once criticized. But fans weren't fooled. Not after the chaos, the shade, the leaked audio, and Bill Maher kept firing shots. He said the real problem wasn't the dwarfs, it was the egos. His punchline? A remake by people who don't even like the thing they're remaking. Oof. The film became a cautionary tale, a warning about what happens when ambition, controversy, and chaos collide. And fans made one thing clear. They want magic, not meltdowns. Because if you can hold it together behind the scenes of Snow White, how can you promise happily ever after?